Mississippi, September 14th, 1955, 9:12 p.m. The whistle cried long and low, and the Midnight Limited pulled out of Jackson Station like a steel sermon headed north. It ran through shadows, swamps, and sleeping cotton fields, bound for Chicago. North meant jobs. North meant escape. But on that train, north also meant a reckoning. Eli Mercer, 23, pressed the brim of his porter's cap tighter on his head. Shoes polished, vest snug, ticket punch clipped to his belt. His first full overnight shift. His first time responsible for a train that didn't sleep. And his last night before everything changed. By 10:07 p.m., the train had settled. White passengers drank coffee in Pullman lounges. Black families sat quietly in the back cars. The air smelled of tobacco, coal, and fear too old to name. Porter Mercer moved through the cars with practiced calm, collecting smiles and clipped words, avoiding eye contact with the men who called him boy. He stopped outside car 6, a second-class sleeper. 2 officers stood by the door, one white, one black. Both wore civilian clothes, but the posture was unmistakable. "Problem?" Eli asked. The white man looked him up and down. "You run this car?" "I serve this train." "Then you just got a body." She was found face down between berths. Pale skin, blonde curls, blood on her nightdress. Her name was Margaret Evers. Passenger manifest said she boarded alone. Window seat. Ticket from Jackson to St. Louis. The black officer, older, scarred cheek, said nothing at first. Then, door was locked from the inside, window latched, no signs of forced entry. Eli's throat dried. "Then how'd it happen?" "That's what they'll want you to figure out," the man said quietly. "Me? You're the only one who can move freely through all the cars. And the only one who won't be listened to unless you've got proof." At 11 p.m., the conductor halted the train in a remote siding near Memphis. Local authorities were called, but wouldn't arrive until morning. In the meantime, the doors were sealed. No one in, no one out. A white man in a brown suit, thin lips, southern drawl, pulled Eli aside. "Her name's Margaret Evers, daughter of a preacher from Oxford. You get me?" "Yes, sir." "That means someone's gonna pay. You understand that, too." Eli nodded slowly. "You hear anyone talking?" "About a colored fella in car 3. Name of Darnell Hayes. You come straight to me." Hayes was quiet, sat alone. Window seat, staring at the dark. When Eli approached, he looked up with tired eyes. "Porter," that night. Eli found a bloodied hairpin in the white dining car trash. He found a red scarf shoved behind the heater in car 5. And he found a photograph, half torn, in the victim's satchel. Margaret Evers and a black man, laughing. He pocketed it and wrote one word in his notebook. Motive, 11:38 p.m. Southbound siding near Memphis. The train moaned in its stillness. No movement, no rhythm, just the creak of metal cooling under moonlight and whispers curling under door frames. Eli Mercer walked the aisle like a ghost with a badge that didn't exist. No one called for him, but everyone watched him. Car 3 was hushed. The black car. No Pullman service here. Just curtains, canvas, sweat. Darnell Hayes sat stiff in his seat, still alone. Still watching the window. "I didn't touch her," he said before Eli could speak. "You served in Korea, didn't you?" Eli asked. Hayes blinked. "How'd you know?" "Picture. You had a stripe in it. Margaret Evers was in it too." Hayes went silent. "Who took that photo?" Eli pressed. "I did. That was before." "Before what?" "Before her father found out." In car 4, Eli spoke with Mrs. Clara Haskins, white, mid-50s, widow, who shared a coach section near Margaret. She seemed nervous, Clara said. Kept looking over her shoulder, jumpy. "Did you speak to her?" "Briefly. She asked me if there was another stop before St. Louis. I told her no." "Anything else?" Clara hesitated. "She said she was meeting someone, and she hoped they'd still recognize her." Midnight struck. The train's silence grew thicker. Eli stepped into the rear vestibule to breathe. Smoke wafted from the men's car. Inside, Samuel Pike, white, early 40s, loud voice, bourbon breath, leaned against the wall. "You're the porter they're letting play detective?" "I'm just trying to help," Eli said. "Well, help yourself to some advice. Don't start asking questions you don't want answers to." "You know Margaret?" "Evers," he scoffed. "Saw her once, didn't speak. Too fine for the likes of me." "Where were you when the scream was heard?" "What scream?" Eli's jaw tightened. "You said you saw her once." Pike's eyes sharpened. "Mind your step, boy." In the kitchen galley, Eli found Denise, the night steward, a black woman, mid-30s, strong eyes. "I heard her cry," she said, "just once, like a word caught in a wall." "Which car?" 5 or 6, then nothing. "Did she ever come to the kitchen?" Denise nodded slowly. 2 hours before she died. Asked for a knife. "What for?" She said she was cutting something loose. And a second red scarf. This one, blood-soaked. He held it in the dim light. There, faint but visible, embroidered at the corner. M.E. Eli returned to Hayes, showed him the scarf. "She was trying to run, wasn't she?" Eli said. "Not from you. From them." Hayes looked away. "She said her daddy sent someone, a fixer. Said if she didn't disappear, he'd do it for her." "You know who?" Hayes nodded. "A man in a brown suit, southern voice. Said he was just here to put things back the way they were." Eli had heard that voice. The man who met him first. 1:42 a.m. Car 2, first-class sleeper. The air shifted when Eli stepped into Car 2. Carpets were thicker here, silence deeper, windows larger, and the smell, cologne, cigars, and money that didn't sweat. He moved past dozing passengers draped in privilege. White gloves, silver cufflinks. No one made eye contact. At berth 2B, the brown suit was waiting. "Evening, porter," the man said, calm as ice. "I wondered when we'd have our proper talk." Eli stared. "You're not law." "I am what the law hires when it needs the work done quietly. Margaret Evers was running from you." "No," the man said. "She was running from consequence." He lit a cigarette, exhaled smoke like scripture. She forgot her place. Thought history could be unmade. That's a dangerous thing, forgetting your place. Eli stepped closer. "You threatened her father's name?" "I protected it! Preacher Evers is powerful. Mississippi doesn't like headlines. But they like shame even less. You were sent to kill her." The fixer smiled. "I was sent to ensure silence." "And what about Darnell Hayes?" "He's a gift. Easy story. Clean narrative. Black man, dead girl. Tragedy with a bow. Let the North weep while the South sleeps." Eli clenched his fist. "You think no one will question it?" "They never have before." Later, Eli met with Denise in the galley. "His name's Carlisle," she whispered. "I saw him on the platform in Jackson. He watched her board." "You sure?" "He tipped me $5 and said, 'We all serve something, honey, even if it ain't us.'" 2:30 a.m. Eli entered Margaret's sleeper again. He opened her suitcase. Beneath folded clothes, letters, dozens, stamped, unsent. Most addressed to her father. One addressed to the Chicago Defender. A confession. She had planned to go public. About the threats, about the love she couldn't hide, about the child she had lost, a secret stillborn. Her final words on the last page: "They'll erase me, but maybe if I write loud enough, someone will read." Eli carried the letter to Hayes. He read it, cried. "I tried to fight in Korea. I came back to a country that only gave me war. And her, she was peace. For a moment, you still have a chance," Eli said. Hayes looked at him. "Then help me take it." Eli returned to the brown suit's car. The berth was empty. Sheets folded. No bags. No scent. Gone. He checked the doors. All still locked. But someone had vanished and left no sound. 2:55 a.m. Between cars 2 and 3. The wind between cars howled like it knew secrets. Eli Mercer stood in the gangway, coat clutched tight, staring at the empty coupler where he last saw the fixer. Gone. No stop. No exit. Just air and speed. He checked the vestibule. Locked. The roof hatch. Bolted. But something had shifted. The train didn't feel like a train anymore. It felt like a story being told in whispers and footprints no one would believe. Back in car 6, Hayes was praying. Not loud, just enough. Eli sat beside him. You believe in ghosts? He asked. I fought them, Hayes replied. On battlefields, in courthouse stairs, in the mirror. There's no record of Carlyle on the manifest. Because he's not a passenger. He's a shadow. Eli checked the crew ledger. No Carlyle. But 2 empty crew slots listed for external security detail. Unnamed. Unassigned. And a note in faded pencil. Authorized by E. Evers. At 3:15 a.m., Denise flagged Eli down. Found something, she whispered. In the kitchen freezer, a sealed bag. Inside, a pearl earring. Blood on the clasp. Margaret's jewelry box was missing one. That was no accident, Denise said. Someone meant for her to be found this way. Eli nodded. And someone meant for Darnell to wear it. Car 1, observation deck. An older white gentleman named Professor Alcott. Spectacles, pipe, too polite. Waved Eli over. Tragic business, he said. Death on a train always stirs the imagination. Eli studied him. You saw anything? Alcott smiled faintly. I saw a woman afraid. I saw a man in a brown suit. And I saw a conductor who doesn't belong here. You mean me? No, Mr. Mercer. Him. Alcott pointed to a shadow across the tracks, far below. A flicker. Eli checked the train undercarriage at the next crawl-through point. Found 3:49 a.m. Eli placed Margaret's final letter in an envelope addressed to the Chicago Defender. He gave it to a mail clerk in car 7 with instructions. Soon as we stop, no delay. He returned to car 3, sat next to Hayes. We're not done, but we're not alone. Hayes nodded. You're risking everything. Eli exhaled. So did she. Outside, the rails screamed. The train didn't slow. But the truth was catching up. 4:15 a.m. Moving northbound, past Cairo, Illinois. The train moaned against the rails as dawn crept somewhere beyond the black. Eli Mercer sat in the galley, hands clasped tight around a cup of cold coffee, watching the window like it held a verdict. Somewhere in car 7, a letter moved in a locked mailbag, addressed to the Chicago Defender. Margaret's truth, her last resistance. If it made it north, something might change. If it didn't, everything would remain exactly the same. Back in car 3, Hayes was asleep, or pretending to be. He gripped a Bible like it could save more than souls. Eli looked around. Fewer stares now, but not friendlier ones. Some passengers had picked sides. Others waited to be told what to believe. But the truth wasn't waiting anymore. In the conductor's office, Eli reviewed the passenger list one last time. One entry stood out, marked as removed at Jackson. Name, Carlyle, W.M. He hadn't boarded. Officially, he'd always been here. The ghost in the walls. 6:02 a.m. Sunrise blurred over the Mississippi River. Eli made his way to the engine car, stepping through steam and steel to find the telegraph switch. He tapped a coded message to Chicago Dispatch. Urgent. Hold train on arrival. Passenger at risk. Possible murder cover-up. Request police, press. Mercer. He paused, then added, and bring a reporter from the Defender. By 6:30, whispers had become thunder. Someone carved "Justice for Margaret" into a bathroom door. Someone else slipped a note into Eli's pocket. Keep talking, and you'll join her. In car 1, Eli sat beside Professor Alcott again. The older man smoked slowly, watching the world blur past. You ever wonder if justice is just a word they let us borrow? He asked. Every day, Eli said. And yet you keep asking for it. Not asking anymore, Eli said. Demanding. Denise found him near the dining car. They're calling her a runaway, she said. A troubled girl. Papers already printing. Eli looked north. They haven't read the letter yet. And if they never do, then we write another. And another. Until they have to listen. 7:11 a.m. Chicago neared. City lights in the mist. And a line of uniformed officers on the platform. Reporters, notebooks, cameras. Hayes looked out the window. They're here for me. Eli shook his head. No, they're here for all of us. The brakes screamed. The train slowed. And history waited. 7:32 a.m. Union Station, Chicago. The Midnight Limited exhaled steam like a sigh. The platform steamed. The city breathed. Detective Elias Vaughn waited beside the line of officers. Hat low, eyes sharp. Beside him stood a black woman with a notepad and a press badge. Ruth Temple, senior correspondent for the Chicago Defender. As the train doors opened, Eli Mercer stepped down first. He held a folded letter in one hand. We original. Margaret's. Behind him, Darnell Hayes followed. Wrists free, chin up. Vaughn approached. You're the one who sent the wire? Yes, sir. This about a murder? It's about a truth no one wanted found. They moved into the station's waiting room. High ceilings, echoing announcements. The rumble of city life returning. Ruth Temple asked no questions at first. She simply read the letter. When she looked up, her voice was calm. She was pregnant? Was, Eli said. She lost it, and everything after. She was going to expose her father's connections? Yes, Ruth nodded. Then we'll print every line. Detective Vaughn interviewed Hayes on site. Cross-checked times. Witnesses. The blood-soaked scarf. Then he turned to Eli. You did a cop's job without a badge. That earns you something. I don't want a medal, Eli said. I want them to listen. By 10:45 a.m., a crowd had gathered outside the station. Word spread faster than the morning sun. The porter found her letter. Black man saved from false arrest. Southern silence shattered by truth. Ruth's headline would read, "Whistle Between Worlds. The Truth That Rode the Rails." Inside a phone booth, Eli called the rec center back home. A voice picked up. A young boy. "Mr. Mercer, Mama says they talking about you on the radio." Eli smiled. "Good. Make sure they keep listening." By noon, Margaret's letter was in ink. Stanton's name in it. Carlyle's methods detailed. And a photo, grainy but clear, of Margaret and Hayes laughing. Unacceptable to some, undeniable to others. That night, Eli walked the edge of the platform, train long gone. Ruth joined him. "They'll try to bury this tomorrow," she said. "Then we dig it up again the next day." She handed him a copy of the paper, his name on the byline. "You ever think about writing?" "I just wanted to be heard." "Then write like you mean it." Chicago, September 15th, 1955, 6:23 a.m. The papers hit the stands before the coffee boiled. On every corner from Bronzeville to Wabash, the Chicago Defender in bold black ink. Headlines sharp enough to slice: "The Girl, the Porter, and the Train That Didn't Lie." Eli Mercer walked past a row of early risers and paused at a newsstand tucked into a brick alley. Behind it, a boy no older than 11 leaned over a stack of morning editions. Eyes big, grin wide. "You him?" the boy asked. "Guess so," Eli said. "Sir," the boy added quickly, correcting himself. Eli bought a copy. The boy handed it over with pride. "Never seen no Porter in the paper," he said. Maybe that changes now. Inside the cafe across the street, Ruth Temple stirred her tea with the calm of someone who knew ink could outlive bullets. "They're already reacting," she said. "Calls to the paper, letters, some threats, sure, but more thanks." "People believe it?" Eli asked. "Some do. Some never will. But they can't say they didn't hear it." Midday. Union Station. Detective Vaughn found Eli on the concourse. "You're a witness now," Vaughn said. "You want to be a voice too?" "I never asked for this. That's how the best voices start." He handed Eli a form. "City's opening a new community liaison program. We need someone who understands both sides of the tracks." That night, Eli visited Darnell Hayes at a temporary shelter. Hayes looked rested, a little less hunted. "You free now?" Eli said. Hayes nodded. "Freedom don't feel like I thought." "It never does, but you earned it." Hayes reached into a duffel and handed Eli something wrapped in cloth. It was the photograph. Margaret and Darnell, the real one. She said if something ever happened, make sure someone kept it. "I will," Eli promised. As he left, Hayes called after him. "You going back to work?" Eli smiled. In a way. That weekend, the newsstand boy spotted Eli again. "You writing another article?" Eli crouched beside him. "Not yet. Just listening." "To what?" "Everything they try to hide." and above them, a train whistle blew. Not loud, but clear. Chicago, September 16th, 1955. Late evening, smoke curled above rooftops in Bronzeville. Not from trains, not from dinner, but from something quieter. A fire in a trash barrel behind an old lodge hall. Inside it, half-burned copies of The Defender fluttered like dying birds. Someone didn't want the story read, but it was too late. Eli Mercer walked the boulevard with Ruth Temple. Her notebook was full. Her eyes were tired, but fire still danced beneath them. "They're trying to buy silence now," she said. "Pressure on advertisers. Quiet threats. Which means the story struck deep." She nodded. "And we're not done." Back at Union Station, Eli found a notice tacked to the employee board. City Rail Service hiring, liaison officer, community and passenger affairs. Below it in pen, Porter Mercer, call the commissioner. In car 6 of the train yard, Hayes helped a young porter polish brass. "I won't ride south again," he told the boy, "but I'll teach you how to carry yourself on a moving floor." That night, Eli visited Margaret's grave. Simple headstone, no flowers. He laid down a copy of the newspaper and a single white rose. "You were braver than all of us," he said. "They tried to write you out, but you left the ink." Later, in a South Side community hall, a town meeting began. Ruth read Margaret's letter aloud to 50 strangers. Eli stood by the door, watching every pair of eyes fix on every word. When she finished, no one clapped. They just stood, as if acknowledging something sacred. Detective Vaughn approached Eli after the meeting. "They're reopening a case," he said, "against Carlisle. There's talk of dragging the Evers name into testimony. Preacher Evers won't like that." "No, but truth has its own timetable." Eli looked out the window. Another train passed. Headlights carved the dark. A sound that used to mean escape. Now, it meant return. Chicago, September 18th, 1955. Early morning. The city was still, and the rails were quiet. But Eli Mercer heard the train anyway. Not in sound, but in memory. Steel and shadow, grief and grit, stitched together in a story he hadn't asked to carry, but had. And now it was his. He boarded a local service train before sunrise. Not as a porter, as a passenger. Inside his coat pocket, a new badge. Not metal, but laminated. City Liaison Officer, Transit Division. A seat near the front was open. He took it. Across from him, a conductor, old, white, eyes clouded with the years, nodded slowly. "You used to wear the uniform," the man said. "I still do," Eli replied, just in a different way. Later that day, Eli met Detective Vaughn at a courthouse annex. The Carlisle file had arrived. Redacted pages, sealed names, but not silent. In the corner of one photo, a blurred profile. Hat, cigar, a match to the man who stood in car 2. They had him now. Almost. Back in Bronzeville, Ruth Temple typed by lamplight. Follow-up. The Fixer, The Preacher, and the pages they tried to burn. She smiled when she saw the first print roll out. Truth, printed twice, is harder to kill. That evening, Eli walked to the edge of the rail yard. An old man stood there, uniform faded, hat in hand, conductor stripes. "You Mercer?" he asked. "I am." The man nodded. "I rode that train once, the one where she died before you took it north. You see her?" "No, but I felt the weight after, like the train never stopped, like it kept moving through people instead of places." He looked at Eli. "You took the weight. You changed the tracks." Later, Eli stood in front of a class of new hires, porters, conductors, operators, all colors, all listening. He said, "Trains don't lie. They carry what we give them, our silence, our fear, or our truth. The choice is yours, but once you punch the ticket, ride it all the way." Chicago, September 20th, 1955, 12:01 p.m. Union Station buzzed like a living thing. Boots on marble, voices climbing rafters, brass glinting against fluorescent light, and above it all, the low, ancient growl of a train arriving. Eli Mercer stood beside Platform 9, not in uniform, but with purpose. His city-issued badge clipped to his coat, his notebook tucked in his hand. Across from him, Ruth Temple appeared with a folder. "They're printing again," she said. "Third piece runs tomorrow. There's even talk of a book. Let's just make sure they don't forget who wrote the first chapter." Eli said. On the platform, Hayes stepped down. No cuffs, no escort, just a man returning to walk freely. They shook hands, brief, steady. "Porter Mercer," Hayes said, smiling. "Civilian Hayes. You still writing?" Eli nodded. "So are you." Hayes pulled a folded page from his coat. His own letter. His story. Submission to the Defender. "Truth don't stop with one train," he said. "No," Eli replied. "It rides in all of them." Later that afternoon, Eli spoke at a panel hosted by the Defender. Writers, activists, former porters. The room filled with cigarette haze, coffee heat, and slow, deliberate truth. Eli took the mic. "We boarded in silence. We rode in fear. But we arrived in light. And if we ever go back, it won't be alone." Applause was not loud, but it was long. That night, Eli walked the rails one last time. A train rolled by. A child waved through the window. He waved back. Not as a porter, not as a witness, but as someone who rewrote a story inside a steel corridor that tried to erase it. Behind him, the city exhaled. Ahead, the tracks gleamed, not ending, just beginning.